Hi, gentlemen. Hey, congratulations on this film, Brian and Charles.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thanks very much.
More of a congratulations that this is a Sundance entry this year. How do you guys feel about that this year?
Yeah, really chuffed. Like, yeah, amazing, and blown away that we were accepted.
Yeah. Every step of the way, really, from doing the short, just having anyone like it.
Yeah.
It's just like every step of the way, it's like, oh, right, they like it, and he likes it. Oh, they like it. It's just so lovely. Yeah, it's great.
Yeah, we found out we were in Sundance quite early as well. There's like, we just sort of finished the film, we're like, oh, Sundance won it. We're like, oh, okay. Wow. Okay. Wow.
Yeah, we wanted to tell people and we couldn't really.
Yeah. Yeah, we had to hold it in for a while, yeah.
Well, a lot of people will have a chance to get to see this. So let me ask this obligatory question: where did this unique idea came from for Brian and Charles?
My mother. No, she didn't. No. I've been performing as Brian for years on the stand-up circuit, doing just little vlogs and short films and like years, and then I did a little internet radio show where I'd try and talk to the members of the public. Would ring in, I'd try and talk to them in character, and it was a little phone-in show. And then one night, Rupert, the producer, rang up and used this software and chatted to me as Charles. So we created this little relationship over Skype, and it really made me laugh. And just hearing Rupert tap away and try and answer, my questions and the delay, and it's just really made me laugh. And then Chris was listening and enjoyed it, I think.
Yeah, I just wanted to be involved. I think I heard it and I thought it was so funny. I just thought I want to be part of this. So I had an idea of how I could make this robot costume, and then we talked about doing it live. So that's what we started doing. We started doing these live gigs where I'd be dressed as Charles, David would be Brian, and Rupert would be doing Charles's voice, sat at the back of the room typing away. So we did these live gigs for about 2 years or so, on and off, and got to the point where we wanted to make the short film purely out of fun, really, to start with. And then it's just, did really well and just went from there.
So when did it become a decision to basically shift the short film into a long feature film format, and how did you guys proceed to expand that story?
I think it was at the back of the interest we had from Film 4. I think they'd expressed like an interest in it. Is that right, Jim? How did that come off?
Yeah, I think that was the main point, wasn't it? I think we thought about it. We'd sort of talked about it as a feature, like after we shot it or during, but we didn't really do anything about it until the short came out, and people really liked it. And there was a big response to it. Then when Film 4 were like, we think this has got legs as a feature, that's when it sort of became serious.
Yeah, they asked us to submit a story outline for a potential feature. So that's where we started to give it some real serious thought. And that was the main sort of, not difficulty, but the hardest part of it was work. We already knew their relationships. That was quite the easy part, but it was working out a story that, what would their journey be? So that's what took quite a lot of time, was just to think what is their story going to be? So we just had lots of different ideas, and we all chipped in with different ideas about what it could be and the sort of plot points that would work before we ended up with what we've got. Yeah.
So Chris, you designed Charles, for the live gigs and the short film, but it looked Charles looked a little bit different between the feature film and the short film. Could you talk about that? And what were you inside Charles this entire time?
I was, yes. Believe it or not, I was. But well, the look of him, the initial problem we had was because we needed obviously several copies going into the film. We needed several kind of replica heads, and the original mannequin head I got, I think, was just off eBay, some obscure eBay site. So we had quite a few problems trying to track down and find these replica mannequin heads. And the ones we got all looked a bit more handsome for some reason. He looked more tanned and he looked some more chiseled.
I remember ordering them. I was like scouring the internet for them, like, because I was so worried we wouldn't find them again. So I think I bought like loads just before they disappeared. But yeah, I think we didn't really want to update him too much, but I think there was just things where we're like, what's the logic of it now? Like, okay, if he's built from a washing machine, then he needs to have this kind of rigid body, and like he wouldn't, like Brian, the eye, like we made it into sort of like bolts rather than tape, because we thought Brian probably would have tried to engineer that a bit more. We still
kept the slight homemade rubbishy look, because it kind of has to be, really, in order to believe that Brian would build a robot, it has to look a little bit shonky.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it was just tiny tweaks, really. But yeah.
So Chris, how comfortable was it being inside Charles?
Not very. It was depending on what I was doing and what he was wearing as well, because some of the costumes were like heavier than the others. So I couldn't really see anything when I was in there, and I had to rely on people to just lead me around by the hand. It wasn't great laughs being inside, but it was okay.
So David, how did you act with Chris? Obviously, he has a certain blind spot or certain difficulties acting with you. But what were your challenges, David?
Just not laughing, really, more than anything. It's so utterly ridiculous, and just remaining, just trying to stay truthful. And if I've asked him a question, and I have to wait for him, just trying to be truthful and remain patient. And I love him to bits, and I don't know. It's just really, I just honestly, when I'm stood opposite him, I feel like this is a real being. And I
guess I was going to say, it's funny that you are really acting with the final version. It's not like we don't do anything with it afterwards. Like the voice is the same, the look is the same. It's not like another film where anything we don't do anything in post with him, unless maybe like fiddling with the voice a bit. But yeah. You are acting with the robot.
Yeah, and there are times where Rupert would be controlling the speech from another room using the software, so there would be a genuine delay in me waiting for Rupert to tap, and we always thought that was really funny, just those little pregnant pauses. And yeah.
Now, because the look of Charles being a little, how do you say, could be clumsy or clunky, could you talk about like the challenges of basically like acting without how do you say, getting to, like the accident in the kitchen looked very real to me. I mean, were these things happening on set all the time, or a lot of stuff were very planned?
I mean, not to the extent of the kitchen. I mean, the kitchen one is, a stunt man and like breakaway like shelves and stuff like that. But there's definitely like, I mean, I'm sure Chris could speak about it more, but there's definitely difficulties.
Yeah, I mean, things like riding the bike. I mean, that I found out, but I don't know what I was doing there. I had to rely on David to balance me, and we had to do just quite quick cuts before I fell over. And but I mean, I was up for doing it. But I
remember I think the most worried about you was when you were holding the cabbage gun. I think that was when it was like, oh, this looks, when you're sort of standing up and you had it like around your like neck.
Yeah, that was particularly unpleasant. There was one of the worst parts was filming on the back of the truck, because it was pouring with rain. I sat down just in water. I couldn't see anything, and I'm facing the wrong way while a truck is driving. So I was getting motion sickness. And it was just, the weather was just awful. And I just thought, this is the maddest thing I've ever done.
Yeah, it's like 2 a.m. as well.
Yeah. I'm having to hold this stick, and there's a blinking eye light. There's a pandemic Yeah, I just thought, this is insane.
Yeah, we nearly stopped filming that day. We were just like, this is too hard. Like,
yeah, for the most part, we were quite lucky with the weather, but we had 2 or 3 days that were really bad, just the worst weather. And it was November in North Wales, which is a pretty bleak time.
Yeah.
I was gonna ask, like, who has that crazy obsession with cabbages that you have to put it into into the film?
Yeah,
I don't know
where that came from. I just think when we started writing the film, we just kept coming back to the cabbages, and then because he'd referenced them so many times, it felt like we had to include it in the showdown. Like, it had to, you wanted a callback to it, really. So that's what led to some of the stuff later on.
It's weird. It just sort of tickles you to begin with, and then you just sort of trust that. Well, you just hope that it tickles other people.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you stick with the cabbages and cross fingers. Did you like the cabbages?
Yeah. We say
that. David, since you played Brian for so long, as you know, stand-up and short film and now feature film, how much of Brian is in you?
Oh my God!
Hopefully.
Next question, please.
I'd like to know.
Do you know, I don't pick that thread. Just unravel. I don't know. That's a great. I don't know. I mean, when I'm doing stand-up, Brian is my. I guess it's just what I'm thinking, every day that I'm not allowed to say. So in stand-up, he's just saying, in stand-up, I would say the most inappropriate things because I thought that character would think it's right to say that then, but it's absolutely not in a public situation. So it's just being really, it's the sort of mischievous side. But the film version of Brian Cry, I don't know. I wouldn't like to say. And so I won't.
Well,
I think we should dig deeper.
Yeah.
And Jim, on the directing style, how did you come to the directing style of choosing sort of like a documentary format? And was it hard? Was it very purposeful to basically have the characters pretend they're in the documentary and not pretend that they're in the documentary?
Yeah, I mean, it was always written in the short as well. It was always written as documentary. I think I just wanted it to feel like a sort of a documentary that I hadn't seen done before, or like a sort of modern style of one. So I wanted to sort of like make it a bit more moody and like ambient, but which I thought would be a funny way to do a comedy. So yeah, but in terms of like the performance, like we tried to keep how we shot it. Like Murren, the DP, and I were always like, the logic of it always had to be true. Like it could only ever be shot from 2 angles. Most stuff should try and be covered in one sort of like single takes if possible. And then but with the sort of the dialogue, I think this also happens in documentaries. Like you do just kind of forget about the cameras. So like as the story went on, like people were maybe a bit more aware at the top. Like you see more looks to camera. But I'd say about 40 minutes in, then just no one's referencing it anymore. And I think we got licensed to sort of have the camera a bit more in people's faces and a bit more up close and in amongst the action, because you do kind of put it to the back of your mind. Yeah.
Most excellent. And let me wrap it up with one more thing, because I find this story so delightful, and you guys, sort of visited Brian and Charles twice, both in short film and long film. But would you guys like to go back into this world again with Brian and Charles someday?
I'd like to milk it dry.
Yeah. I'll do it
for the next 20 years. Yeah.
Only if Chris is playing Charles. That's my.
Yeah.
I'm
we had so much fun, didn't we? It'd be lovely to do something again.
It was a nice sort of 4 to 6 weeks in Wales with a really nice crew. It was I think there's definitely more that could come from it.
Yeah.
Terrific. Well, hey, gentlemen, congratulations on this film, Brian and Charles. Congratulations for being at Sundance, and one of these days, I hope some of Brian's inventions actually becoming reality. I truly like the egg belt. That
you can make that. They're quite cheap.
Technically,
It
you're right.
takes 5 minutes.
The egg belt is like a shotgun now.
Yeah.
That is correct. Well, thank you very much, gentlemen. Hopefully,
Thank you.
Thanks
very much.
Thank
Cheers.
you. Cheers.
Bye.